Data Club Podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second podcast of the ESP Big Data Club. Maybe for those people that are not yet familiar with the club, the Big Data Club is an ESCP student association founded by the first cohort of the Big Data and Business Analytics Master. The goal of the club is to be a bridge between data-driven students and alumni and working professionals working in data-related positions. The club offers many events, such as networking events, workshops, and company presentations, in order to create a strong international network. In our last podcast, we had Romeo Leon as guest, who was a data engineer at Amazon and elaborated more on the company and his experience within the company. For today, we have another interesting guest who works as a recruiter at Datadog and who will be able to give us more insights into the skills requested for data-related positions and the corresponding recruitment process. Welcome, Yuan. Thank you so much for being here. Could you please introduce yourself in a few words?
First, I would like to thank you for giving me this chance. Thanks for having me here. A few words about myself. My name is Yuan, and I come from China. I started working in 2014, and after I got my bachelor degree, and I started working in a company called CSC. It's an American IT system company. And then I joined Logitech, and then I realized that, so I kept up my promises that to pursue my academic path. Then I started to pursue my MBA. So first year I studied in China, and then I moved here in south of France in 2018. I started in Marseille, and then I moved here in Paris first to start my end of year internship, and then I landed up with my first job in a company called Accredio, and then right now I working in Datadog.
Okay, that's quite an interesting path actually. So, as you mentioned, now you are currently working at Datadog. Maybe to be a bit more specific, how long exactly are you already working at Datadog?
I joined Datadog at the end of October in 2020, so right now it's a bit more than 2 years.
So, since you already work at the company for 2.5 years, could you maybe describe the company in a bit more detail? I know that the company is, for example, known for its tool for monitoring the performance of different applications, but could you elaborate a bit more on the specific activities of the company, maybe?
Okay, for sure. So Datadog, we are tech company for sure. We were founded by two French engineers actually. So they met at school in France, and then they worked together in the US and decided to found a company over there. After 9 years, in 2019, we went public in NASDAQ. So right now we are a multinational company, has at this moment I believe more than 5,000 employees in different countries all across globe. If I can summarize in one sentence, what does Datadog do? Datadog, we are an essential monitoring platform for cloud applications, which means that we bring together data from servers, containers, databases, and third-party services to make our client stack entirely observable, which is a lot of data, like trillions of data points per day. Basically, we ingest it all in seconds and make it available for visualization, analytics, and alerting.
Maybe to come back on the recruiting part, you say that you are a recruiter at Datadog. Are you engaged in the recruiting process of all positions, or are you more focused on the technical roles?
So in Datadog, we divide into two parts. So one is dedicated for business recruiting, including, for example, sales, legal, human resources, or marketing, this kind of department. And another big part is for tech recruiting, which is my department.
And which specific types of technical roles are you looking for? Are you especially looking for data scientists or data analysts as well?
If it is for data analyst or data science, this kind of job, they belongs to technical department. Yeah.
So you mentioned both data scientist and data analyst positions. What would you say are the most important technical skills that people need to have in order to perform well at those jobs? Let's in this case maybe focus more on the data analyst roles, as our specialized master at ECP is not only focused on purely data-driven roles, but also on a combination of both business and data. So based on that, I assume most of our listeners would be more interested in data analysis. Or perhaps you can even try to make a comparison between the skills needed between both jobs.
Yeah, okay, I got it. So I would say if it is, for example, for data science, we sometimes the profiles we've been searching for, either they've been graduated from engineering school or either coming from business school like ESCP. So they've been, I mean, all the courses you've been learned in school is quite useful. What I heard that you've learned like R, like Python, so data analyst, this kind of tools is absolutely relevant to what we've been searching for. If it is for data science, I think that's the profiles we've been looking for. They're more linked to the software developer who has the experiences that's dealing with a huge, like a big quantity of data like before.
So when you are talking about the technical skills, I especially hear you mentioning R and Python as programming languages. Are those the mostly used on the job, or how should we see this?
I think Python it is, and if I can name a few other programming languages, it's not necessarily required or mandatory. But for example, like a Golang, like a Java, or other languages like Rust, they've been frequently used by developers. Here at Datadog, we will not have a hard requirement. So for example, if we will hire you, you need to be an experienced Go developer, which is not the case. As long as you are open to learn new languages, then it should be okay.
Thus, if I understand you correctly, you are saying that you do not need to know the programming languages that extensively yet. The most important part is basically to show that you have some basics in it and are willing to learn.
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. Now let's maybe change our focus in this interview from the more technical side needed to the recruitment process specifically. Maybe a first question related to that. When would you encourage students to apply? Is there a specific hiring period for the jobs? Or maybe some periods that you get a lot of applications so that it makes it more competitive to apply for the jobs?
Okay. In terms of this, I highly recommend that the students in SCP check on our career website. Our employee marketing team, they invest a lot of time on it. They did an amazing job. Actually, there are two sections. So one is more for the recruitment for society, which is for experienced, somebody who has years of experiences. But we have a dedicated part who is for early career like seeker and also for internships. So those have the sessions I would say more emphasized on that what Datadog could provide for early career seekers, what kind of a mentorship, what kind of things that's to help them boost their career. So they have tons of useful information over there, and they have divided into two parts. The first is a business internship and early career, and another one is technical internship and career.
Okay, that's also very interesting to know. But my question was perhaps more related to the seasonality of the hiring. When is the best period for students to apply for job openings at Datadog, for example?
Yes, I'm not quite sure about what is the season, for example.
Okay.
So I used to recruit for students for our internships. I remember that the time that I went to some of the forums, like to schools, that it was back in September or October, but I guess that is twice per year. So right now, yeah.
Also, as a student at ESCP, we sometimes have some career-related courses, such as pitching seminars or CV workshops, in which we gain useful skills and insights to network. There we also learn, for example, that we should not be afraid of connecting with people on LinkedIn that are currently placed in jobs that we want to target as well. However, what do you think about contacting recruiters? Would you also advise the students to send a message to recruiters on LinkedIn? Or is it sometimes better to specifically target people that are already working in the data-driven specific position?
I think both of them, they're smart to contact recruiters and also to search for useful resources in your network. LinkedIn is definitely a powerful tool. If I can recommend that, you can start searching for within your network, which is first degree network. You will see that's okay. For example, like your school alumni, like how many people have already working in this company, and then you try to connect with them, ask for referral. I would say just it's not obviously a secret, but what I can share with you is that our how many people that landed on hires, like 1/3 of them is coming from referrals. So for sure, referrals it has a high chance like compared to direct applications. So we've been, for example, we have referral program schemes to encourage our employees to recommend someone they know, they trust, that they've been school with, they know someone, etc. in their personal networks for that. And this is a great way to build I would say, strong connection if you already know someone who is working here. On the other side, if by chance you cannot find anyone who is actually working in the company, you can try with the recruiters. But I would say that how to address the messages when you reach out is definitely could help you increase the success success rate, I would say. First, please I use a few words to introduce yourself, and then the second, for sure, to make sure to attach up-to-date CVs. You can try with I think it's according to different companies. So for example, in Datadog, we're a multinational company. Our working language is English, so for sure you need to prepare an English CV. So if you think it's necessary, then you can prepare a French CV or other languages if you think that is relevant. And then the last part is don't forget that to list at least one of the job posts the most intriguing you. For example, we have more than 100 opening jobs that on Career website. If you don't know which one that you find most interesting, so it might take a lot of time for the recruiters to do the recommendation. And we've been receiving those kind of messages. I can tell how many per day. So if you want to increase your chance to get actually response from them, so you need to at least customize your messages, including those three things I mentioned.
Okay, so to recap, networking is very important since referrals might give you an advantage, but when you contact recruiters, make sure you know the company and positions and make the message personalized. Now, my next question is about CV screening. Is there a difference in CV screening between someone that was referred within the company compared to someone that is applying without a referral?
Actually, there is not much of a difference in the system. In the system is what we call the ATS, application tracking system. So right now we've been using Greenhouse. So there is not much of a difference of showing what is an applicant than a referral. It's just a remark that this is a referral. And then the referral, he or her itself will put some of the words like how do I know this person, why I think they would be the best fit for this job, is there any reasons particular for that. So in this way we'll notice, okay, this is a referral instead of a direct application. In terms of the CV, there is not much of a difference.
And in terms of CV screening, do recruiters look at grades, or would you say that internship or maybe other previous experiences might actually be more important to have?
Just the personal speaking, I know that I have a lot of teammates. Probably somebody do the screening is different. For me, I'm more into see that what they did in the past in the internship. Is there anything interesting, relevant to the job? This kind of stuff means more important to me than the grades. Not saying that the grades are not important, because this is a proof that the students invest a lot during their academic learning. This kind of stuff is definitely show some great qualities taking into consideration, but it's not all, I would say.
Okay, so basically on the job skills are more preferred by recruiters. And in terms of technical skills asked during the interview, is it expected of students to get some questions with regard to the different programming languages that you use? Or how technical are those questions specifically? Of course, as previously said, I can imagine it to be different based on the fact that it's for a data scientist or data analyst position, but let's in this case still assume from a data analyst position perspective.
Okay, so my part, usually the recruiters do the preliminary call. So during the first chat, we are not a technical expert, so we won't ask, okay, let's write a piece of code right away. It's not like that. Okay. So for sure, we start during the chat is around 30 to 45 minutes. So first 5 to 10 minutes is always warm up. I can share with you that what do I usually do for these kind of interviews. Mm-hmm. So first 5 to 10 minutes is usually warm up for sure. I don't want the person that I talk with, the interviewees, feel so stressed. So I will let them know that, okay, you nothing need to be worried about, to let them know what is the object about today's call. And then I will introduce myself. So in this way, we can get a little bit acquainted to make them feel at ease a bit. And then the rest, around 30 to 35 minutes, is really focused on deep dive into what's their past experiences. If it is for students, then I'll ask questions more relevant to their past internship or past courses or even pet project that they did in the past. If it's for more experienced developers, I will for sure ask what is their current project, their role in the team, or anything they would share with me about their technical background. And then the very last, I always trying to make sure we last 5 to 10 minutes for question time. So I usually the one ask a lot of questions, so I would like to make sure that the interviewees got the time to ask any questions they would like to know, for example, about Datadog as a company, about the department, about the team, or anything basically they're curious. Yeah.
So a large part of the questions are really dependent on the background of the applicants. I can imagine you must have to deal with lots of applicants. Can you tell me what someone can do to really stand out for you? How can someone leave a positive impact during the interview process?
I think overall communication skills is definitely, to me at least, very important. So it based on how they would, to communicate not just as the interviewees, but as a person, to know that. And then the second is that what is the motivation? I think that we are really great company. We definitely want to hire people that could thrive in here, which means that they're enthusiastic about their job, and we will spend no efforts to provide those environments for candidates once they joined in here. So I think the most touching me part, especially I can feel sometimes a lot from students or fresh graduates, is from the enthusiastic and where do they see themselves. If they already have a clear mind, which path that they would like to go with, sometimes I get the clear answers. For example, I wanted to be individual contributor, I wanted to be the top ones in this technical area. Another one might share that, okay, I think that my strength falls in the management part. I want to go pursue on this path. So I think that's quite important.
Mm-hmm. So if you have to give our students some type of recommendations, what would that be?
Okay, I would say prepare, because it's always the key to success. So usually that's you will get the invites from the recruiters that, okay, please book some time in the calendar that we could have dedicated time to get to know you better. So you can definitely use that time to at least get to know this company better. For example, let's take Datadog as an example. So you will know that which Datadog is a technical company, but which sector is which specialized this company do. And I'm for sure that internet is so powerful. You can basically, if you want to, if you invest the time on it, so you can definitely take a lot of useful informations. So basically, to let the people you talk with know that you've done your homework, you've done your research like before, get to know the company, get to know the role. Because usually sometimes I ask my candidate that, okay, so you saw the job post and you apply for that. What do you think about the job? What does this job do, and why do you think that you are the best candidate for it? In which area or qualifications or things that matters to you the most? So I will usually ask these kind of questions. I like the candidates that they prepare themselves before they share with me that. So at least to me, I think that they've take that, they treasure the opportunity for sure. And then the second is that they genuinely interested about the company, about the job. It's not that the company is a random, fall into their random search on the internet and they just click for that.
Okay, so basically, again, it's really important to highlight why you want to work for the company and what position you are interested in. Then, I know it can sometimes be seen as a sensitive question, maybe, but since we have the opportunity to talk with a recruiter here, I'll just try and go for it. What might be an expected salary range for a data analyst position, given someone that has a background with a business school, such as ECP, for example?
I guess that this is some kind of confidential information right now. Sorry that I cannot share more in details. But what I'm trying to share is that for students, when you search for your first job, I see that the compensation is for sure important because everyone needs to eat bread for living. But make sure that you have your criteria when you make the decision about the job. So top 3 things that matters to you the most. If the compensation falls on those 3, so don't feel shame to talk about it. I encourage everyone to be transparent with the recruiters. For example, if you already have a range of salary expectations, don't hesitate to talk about it. So for sure, good companies, they don't want it to offer you a lowball offer, which is not great in long term interested if they wanted to sustain you keeping you in the company for a long time. And then on the other side is that do the market search. So make the realistic expectations, not something like extravagant or not something that is below the market. You feel that once you accepted it, you find out that it's way below the average, that you won't feel happy, and this is not the cases the company or yourself want it.
Okay, so this leads us actually to our last question. Could you maybe give us one last advice for the students if they want to apply for a data-driven position?
Okay, cool. One last advice, right? I will circle back to what I just mentioned during our chat is preparation is always the key to success. So in what way that you could prepare? So have a great like a CV. So CV, what I mentioned is to be more concise, to try your best to pack them within one A4 paper, if that's. And then the second is to get to know the company better. So you don't hesitate to list all the interesting points you find. It could be narrow it down to, for example, I find that the speakers of the conference that I attended is actually a Datadog employee. So this is a very, very small thing, but us as a recruiter, we're always happy to know that there is a small story between the candidates and the companies. And then the third is that to strengthen what is your skills to make it up to the most that what you have learned from the school, and not necessarily to give to just narrow it down to, for example, programming languages, what I just mentioned, like R, Python, or up to networking, what you just mentioned about that. Use that all the resources. So for example, ESCP is a very has high prestige business school in here. I'm sure that you have a powerful school alumni network for that to leverage using that, and then to for example, like softer skills, how you can really present yourself during the interviews. I think having interviews like a training a muscle. So sometimes that's with the practices you can have that, or otherwise that you will lose the sharp. This kind of stuff. So I said a lot. I know that you only ask for one last advice, but I think those are the things that are quite important. I think that once you get all those things done, and then you are very enthusiastic, you are humble, you are open, you don't shy to show yourself. This is the way to success. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. There was indeed more than one recommendation, but it could be useful for the students when applying during their internships, especially during this period.
Yeah.
So with that question, I wanted to conclude this podcast. Thank you so much. And I just also want to mention to the listeners to stay tuned on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media for the next events in the Big Data Club, because we have some good things coming forward. And thank you again, Yuan, for the interview. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.